beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Joy. This is my final update on the 2022 Years of Usage Eyeshadow Project Pan created by Sarah Catherine. I am working on 4 eyeshadow palettes, and the total number of eyeshadows I'm working on is 57. There's one eyeshadow palette that I stopped working on 2-3 months ago because I knew that I would have difficulty hitting goal on that eyeshadow palette, so I concentrated on the 3 other eyeshadow palettes to get to the 22 uses, which is the goal of this project. So let me start my update with the first eyeshadow palette. This is the You Can Be Belonging eyeshadow palette that is a rollover from last year. So a number of the eyeshadows here have already been used several times. It's not like I'm working on this from scratch. So this is what the palette looks like after working on this one for a year. I'll try to insert what it looks like when I started the project. So for this one, there are 3 eyeshadows that I already hit goal on last year, and those eyeshadows are Stranded, Weekender, and Jet. For Jet, I did work on this one more time this year, so it's 22 uses instead of just 21 because that's the goal last year. For this year, it's 22 uses because we're in the year 2022. Okay, so for all of these eyeshadows, I managed to already hit goal on the 22 uses. Except for this, of course, for Stranded. I only used that 21 times from last year. Anyway, so this one, because I hit pan on this one, it's considered hitting goal last year. I just used that 15 times. So that's what it looks like with 22 uses. If you look at it, it does look used, but I'm not sure if it looks like it's being used 22 times. What I notice actually with the Years of Usage eyeshadow project pan, I don't get a lot of product as I do when I'm working on a panda palette. So my way of using the eyeshadow is a bit different. I prefer my way of using with the Years of Usage because that's the usual, the normal, I would say. It's not like you're really trying to get to panning the palette. Anyway, so let me just share with you that when I started the project, many of the eyeshadows here I've already have used a lot last year. So it was fairly easy for me to hit goal on those eyeshadows, such as this shade Punk, because when I started, I was already at 19 uses. Another eyeshadow, also Good as Gone, I was already at 11 uses. So those are the 2 eyeshadows I know that I hit goal on at the very start of the project. But it took me a long time to actually finally hit goal on all of the eyeshadows here. It's only in the last month that I finally hit goal on the shade Steel Shot, Hell Ride. So these eyeshadows, Accelerate, Ignite. These 4 eyeshadows are the last eyeshadows I hit goal on in this project. And finally, I'm happy that I've hit goal on this eyeshadow palette. So that's 18 eyeshadows that I hit goal from here. The next eyeshadow palette would be this Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette. So for this one, this is what the palette looks like now. Some of these eyeshadows I also worked on already before I started the project. So it took less uses needed for this project. So the eyeshadows I'm referring to is like the shade Danger, this blue shade. I've used that already 5 times when I started the project. Harajuku as well, 2 times. Stark, I've used that twice as well. Stark, this is Stark. And then a few of the other eyeshadows I've used once. Now, what is interesting here, Harajuku I've used twice, but this is one of the last eyeshadows I hit goal on. For this eyeshadow palette, I also managed to hit goal on all of the eyeshadows. The last eyeshadows that I hit gold on, so that's what I've been working on the last month, is this shade Pop. Interesting, this is one of the shades I love in this eyeshadow palette. Harajuku and 1987. I thought actually for 1987 and Pop, it would take me less time to use this. But for some reason, I wasn't reaching for it. For 1987, this is quite pigmented. So it's not a shade I thought I would love. Initially, I thought I'd enjoy this because this is a gold eyeshadow. We have another here in the You Can Be Belonging eyeshadow palette. So this shade, Stranded, is one of my favorite in here. So I thought I would love this one, but it's a different gold. And this is much more pigmented, surprisingly, because I wasn't expecting this eyeshadow palette to be pigmented. This eyeshadow, this baby, is one of the least favorite. I didn't enjoy using this one. This last three shades on the last row, or on the last column, I would say, I've been using them to line my eye. So that's how I managed to hit 15 uses. This punk, I have another punk in the You Can Be Belonging eyeshadow palette, and they're quite similar between the two. I prefer using actually the one in the Belonging eyeshadow palette, and I think it's because the formula is less, how should I say it? It's easier to get product there, unlike this one, because this is hard pressed compared to that one. So yeah, so that's what it looks like. If I look at it from here, I'm not sure if it's being captured in the camera, but Danger looks used. Punk and Serious also looks used. The rest, barely. If I really look hard, I would say I've used Stark quite a lot. And then Harajuku as well. But that's it. The rest, it looks barely used. And I would say because of the way the powders are pressed in the pan. The third eyeshadow palette that I'll share with you is the one that I did not focus on anymore in the last few months. So we have here, this is the Dreamland You Can Be eyeshadow palette. So this is more pinkish, purple eyeshadow. Reddish, I would say. There are a lot of red in here. And this one, I actually also have a head start with this one on some of the eyeshadows, but I just did not work on this one. So such as Passion, this shade, I've worked on that twice when I started the project. I've already used that twice. Supreme, I've used this 4 times already, so it's not surprising that I was able to hit gold on that one. That's the only eyeshadow that I hit gold on in this palette. I managed to use that 22 times, and that's what it looks like using it 22 times. Many of these eyeshadows were used, I would say 14 to 15 times. The least number of uses in my record is 12 uses. So Passion, I've used that 12 times. Fresca, I've used that 12 times. New Classic, I've used that 12 times. Interesting for this one, Passion is one of the shade that I enjoy using in this eyeshadow palette. Triumph is another one, but I only managed to use this 12 times. And the reason for that is because there's another shade similar to this one in my Panda palette. And I tend to reach for that one because of my goal of hitting pan or expanding the pan. Or eventually if I can manage to use it up, but I didn't. And this one, for some reason, I know I have that 22 uses goal, but I just didn't reach for that one. Probably I was reserving this because this is newer compared to the other one in the Panda palette project. So that's it. That's my update for this one. I've managed to hit gold on this. So I've hit gold on all of the eyeshadows in the belonging you can be. There are 21 eyeshadows, but I only need to work on 18, so that's 18 plus 15 eyeshadows from the Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette, and then this one eyeshadow. So now I have a total of 34 eyeshadows that I've hit goal on for this project. And the last palette is a 6-pan magnetic palette, and this is what it looks like. So we have here a purple eyeshadow, a pink eyeshadow, yellow, green. So this green is a Franken eyeshadow, and then we have this rust shade and this mustard shade. All of these I've used 22 times each. So I've hit goal on this palette as well. So in total, the number of eyeshadows I hit goal on is 40. So I hit goal on 40 eyeshadows. Not bad, right? Now, if I consider the number of uses I already had when I started the project, it's probably just equivalent to 33 eyeshadows, 32 to 33 to 34 eyeshadows instead of 40. But anyway, just counting on the number of uses for each of the eyeshadows here, hitting the 22 uses, I've managed to hit goal on 40 eyeshadows. For next year, I'm going to work on this project still next year. And my plan is actually not to roll over the eyeshadow I didn't focus on. So that I'll leave it that I haven't hit the 22 uses on all of those eyeshadows. I'll work on some newer eyeshadows so that I'll get to use my eyeshadows, the other eyeshadows I have in my inventory. This is why I love this project, is because I get to use my other eyeshadows rather just focusing on one palette, which I tend to do when I'm doing that Panda palette project. So that's my update for this 2022 years of usage eyeshadow project plan. I'll share with you in the next few weeks or days what I will be working on for 2023 years of usage eyeshadow project plan. Thank you all for watching. Bye!